When I was in high school, it was like the mid to late 90s, all right? So that, of course, that was like forever ago. And when I was in high school, this was not a conversation. This was not something that we talked about. I had already experienced extreme circumstances in my family and in my personal life. Some traumatic stuff that really changed the inside of my brain chemistry to the point where I had started developing a mental health condition that no one knew was there. But in my environment, there was no ever any conversations about anxiety. I don't think I ever even heard the word, honestly. Or depression. Or eating disorder, for that matter. It wasn't a conversation that was being had. So when I was going through my high school and my college years, there were no words, or I hadn't learned them yet, to express what in the hell was going on inside my brain. My mother always told me that I was different. Thanks, Mom. And I was so emotional as a child. Has anything changed? But I was also very sensitive. She's laughing. It's like girl in the front. Sensitive. Any sort of intense emotion would take me on a huge roller coaster ride. For example, I'm 17 years old. My first boyfriend breaks up with me. My friends would just go out and get a new boyfriend. I wanted to grab a bottle of pills and kill myself. Suicide was the solution every time to my emotional pain because I had no idea that I was living with an undiagnosed bipolar 2 disorder. So I was just different. And I internalized that difference. And it wasn't different in a good way. It was different in a what's wrong with you way. Why was I unable to keep up with my friends? Why was I unable to find peace in my life? Why was I unable to feel joy for more than a day before the darkness would close in around me again? By my early 20s and my college years, I had already started this dialogue internally. It's deep-rooted conversation with something that I knew nothing about, but I knew that it had this plan for me, that it could save me if I just did what it said. Do you know illnesses can talk? I didn't know that this voice did not have my best interest in mind. It said, you know, Amy, if you could just stay thin, then you could stay happy. If you could just stay thin and control your weight, then you can control if your dad is going to reject you or not, or if your peers are going to look at you as you're different, or they're going to accept you for who you are, Amy. You could be something if you could just stay thin. And when you take a little girl in a teenage body with no self-esteem and no self-image and no identity whatsoever, that is a blank slate for anything to write on. And that eating disorder said, I have a solution to this problem. I think I can create a dialogue inside your head, Amy, that you are no longer able to feel anything other than fat. I have a solution for you, Amy. I know I can take care of you. You don't have to feel the pain anymore. Actually, Ed promised me, Amy, you'll never feel that kind of pain again. And it was right. I felt a different kind. By the age of 24 years old, still neither eating disorder or bipolar were diagnosed. So what was my brain? It's a ping pong ball. Bipolar moods, bulimia, bipolar moods, just terribly, so I was extremely unstable. Don't go back and read the journals. You're not allowed in there. Don't go in there. Part of me thought that I still could keep going. I still got this. I got this in control. I'm in control. I'm totally in control of this chaos. But my body had another idea in mind. It said, I can't do this anymore. And the only way to get my attention was to stop working. Because I wasn't listening to its cues. I wasn't picking up on it. It wasn't saying, I'm starving to death. Feed me. I'm tired. Go to sleep. I ignored my body. And I did everything I could to punish it. Because if my body can stay the enemy, then I don't have to fight the person who hurt me. I was trying to be normal. Do you ever do that? I know, it's hard. I was trying to hold down a job as a secretary, and I was only drinking coffee and taking all of these diet pills, and I was trying to starve my hunger and to numb my pain. And I wrote in my journal, there's a monster inside me and it's gonna kill me, and I am so afraid, but I don't know what to do. And if it wasn't the eating disorder tearing me apart, it was the bipolar disorder telling me that I was worth literally nothing. Nothing. So it's like I had two abusive relationships going on at the same time, but they were all stuck inside my body. Do you see how destructive that can be? When someone's dealing with an eating disorder and a mental illness, they're literally, parts of themselves are dying in the inside. And the only way to get in there is to get in there any way you can. So one afternoon, I was feeling weak. My hands were a little numb. I remember going to the bathroom and grabbing a hold of the counter. Caroline, can you check the camera? I was grabbing a hold of the counter, and I remember feeling black coming at me, and then nothing, until I popped my head back up and I was in a hospital bed in the emergency room, and I'm laying there, and they have all these sticky patches on me and these tubes, and there's like the beep beeps and the machines, and they got this curtain, and these people are, they're squeaky shoes, you know, in the hospital I hear squeaky tennis shoes. So it's like squeaky tennis shoes, and I got like beeps and stuff, and I look over and I'm like, what the hell? And my best friend's at my side. My mom comes bursting into the hospital room, throws back the curtains and says, how dare you take those pills? I warned you not to. And her anger just spewed across the room because she was terrified, because the phone call that she got was Amy almost had a heart attack. You need to get here right now. The doctor walks in with the most excellent bedside manner. His clipboard, walks into the room, and he gives me you have two choices. You can keep going like you're going and you can die, or you can get help and you can live. The first thought was, those are my two choices? Why can't I just live half alive? Why can't I be half in and half out like I have my entire life? Why can't I just continue to live dead on the outside with a heartbeat? It's because it doesn't work that way. Your body keeps the score. It will come to the point where it says, I'm done. And my body was like, hello. I had enough hope buried deep down inside me. I also am an extremely stubborn person, okay? Don't get in my way. And when I decide that I'm gonna do something, watch out. Okay, there was this stubborn woman inside there? You know what she was saying? Fuck this. I'm getting out. And she did. I got on a plane and I flew to Arizona from Delaware. So here it is, December in Arizona, in Delaware, December, it's 35 degrees. I get on a plane. I fly across the country and I land and it's 85 degrees and there's no green. And I was like, did we miss Arizona? Is this the Middle East? I had never in my life seen that many shades of brown, ever, ever. And I trusted. I said, this is it. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go, I'm gonna put myself all the way in. And I finally got diagnosed, finally. For me, a mental health diagnosis, the right one, was, oh my God, it was such a relief. Thank you, Jesus. This is an illness, this isn't me. That little girl that always thought she was different, she wasn't good enough, she wasn't different. She wasn't good enough, she had a disease that she was doing the best she could with at the time. And the bulimia, well, that was no surprise. No surprise there that I was battling with that eating disorder. But it took me 10 years of relapsing because I wasn't finished with my battle with my self-loathing. I wasn't done punishing myself. And I wouldn't release myself from the prison until I was done punishing myself emotionally for something that wasn't my fault. And about 10 years after Bermuda, I was about 33 years old. I have a family. I have a daughter. She was 3 years old at the time. She's the cutest, carrot red hair. Curly. People would stop on the street and be like, oh my gosh, your daughter's so pretty. And I'm like, hell no. And the green eyes, and my husband who knew about my illnesses before he married me, who always wanted me to finally love myself enough the way he loved me. But he couldn't do that for me. He was waiting for me. But my illness, my bipolar disorder, we couldn't find the right medication since giving birth. My chemistry changed. Everything was out of control. Medication after medication after antipsychotic medication. I lost my memory. My eyes were rolling up in the back of my head. I couldn't leave my house. I lived in a robe. I never bathed. We had no money because I couldn't work, so I stood in the food bank land in the middle of the summer in Arizona thinking, why the hell is this happening to me? And why can't I fix it? What's wrong with me? Came to a head. I was standing in my condo, and I had saved all the pills that never worked. I had stockpiled. I had pawned off my jewelry. My journal was telling me, through my writing, that my husband was going to be better off with another wife, and my daughter would be better off with another mother. I was relieving them of their burden. Suicide's not selfish. And I kept pacing back and forth because I didn't want to die. You guys, people who are suicidal don't want to die. They want their pain to stop. I wanted out. And my mind kept creating that this is your solution, trust me, this is your solution. And I'm like, I don't know if it is or it isn't. And I walk over to my refrigerator, and there is a hotline magnet just sticking right there on the fridge. I did not put that there. I have no idea how it got there. But it was there. And something inside me said, call. And something inside me responded, and I picked up the phone, and I called, and this guy answers the phone, and he's like, hi, what's going on? Tell me where you are. And I remember I was so disconnected from the real world in that moment that his voice was the only thing really connecting me to reality. And I did every single thing he told me to do. He said, promise me you're not going to do anything to hurt yourself. I promised him I wasn't going to do anything to hurt myself. We talked through things. He asked me what I was doing, where I was, what was I holding at the time, and we got very specific about those things. He somehow persuaded me to reach out to someone close and go there for help, to seek safety. Now I know that he used QPR on me. Question, persuade, refer. And I have now become a QPR trainer so that I can help save other people's lives the way he did for me. Deep in my suicidality, I did connect with an awesome therapist. It was the right time. It was the right person. She was the right person at the right time, and I was ready. People say, well, how do you know when it's supposed to happen? It's like, it's gonna happen when it happens, when you're ready to let go, and when you find the person that gives you that space to make it happen. And I found that therapist. I found a psychiatric nurse who understood the balance between my medications, my mood disorder, my bulimia, because I never wanted to take my medicine because I was afraid it was gonna make me fat. You know, the co-occurring disorders, the eating disorder that goes along with the anxiety, the eating disorder that goes along with the bipolar, deadly combinations. They finally got me to a space to fight. One night, during that same time, I had just been released from the psychiatric hospital. I did end up going inpatient to stay safe. I got better, obviously, a miracle in 5 days. And I'm all better now, let me out. Well, what'd your husband say? I don't know, let's call him. 42 days later, I'm back in. Hi again. Okay, maybe I wasn't better. There were so many dark nights. So much darkness. But one night in particular, I was standing in the kitchen again. Kitchen's very significant. Don't explore what the kitchen means, right? Food, kitchen, done, figured it out. I'm standing there with something that I know could hurt me very badly. And all of a sudden I hear a voice that says, there's a 3-year-old little girl in the room right next to you. You don't want her to find you. And I dropped what I was holding, and I faced the darkness straight in the eyes. And I said, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm gonna do everything that I can. I'm gonna fight for her, because right now I'm worth nothing. That's what I thought. So I fought for her, so she could have her mom. And the next day, and the next day, and the next day, until one day I woke up and I realized I was fighting for me. That's how it works. Don't wait until you love yourself. Don't wait to fight for yourself until you feel like the time. It's never gonna feel right, ever. Find something to fight for, and that's what I did, and I fought, and I fought, and I faced the demons from the past and the things that had happened to me. I released grief that I needed to feel. I needed to grieve some losses in my past that were continuing to help me stay sick, if that makes sense. There is not just one thing that creates a mental health condition in someone's life. It's a very complex set of origins. You have heredity, biology, genetics, you have family, you have trauma, you have your upbringing. Everything contributes to the mental health of each individual, and my mental health was no different. So now that I know, I can leave a roadmap, hopefully for other people to follow.